awesome! Prince of Persia is a game that pushed the action-adventure genre to the next level in storytelling and action. Duh! For quite some time, it was Ubisoft's best-selling franchise. With over a bazillion copies sold worldwide, it became one of the most historic games ever created by human hand or computer processor. But this was not always the case with Pop. Do you want to have this music is too high? It started off as a side-scrolling platformer that was created by Jordan Mechner. Mechner? He had this idea of using actual human movement for the sprites of the game and make that as the base for the gameplay. And wouldn't you know it, just like that, in 1989, Prince of Persia was open to the public after 4 years of development, and everyone was somewhere not giving a fuck, because the game sold poorly at the time. Though to give it some credit, as the game was ported to other systems, it was slowly becoming a fan favorite. Now, there were some games in between that somebody, but not everybody, maybe your parents or aunt, liked and played them. Yeah. And Pop never got the recognition it deserved. I have played those games in the past, but I was never fond of them because I was still stuck on things like Mario and Contra and food. But whatever, man, the games were fun. I knew a couple of humans that played them and enjoyed every moment of it, but in 2001, Jordan was all like, yo, I want to create a game about Prince in Persia this time. And then Ubisoft was all like, we need people like you in our company. And then Jordan was all like, oh yeah, we in this, son. And then they made this. Jeepers Amoebers. This is awesome. I mean, you have a sword and you can walk on walls, sort of. And you have this butter knife that when you press a button, it makes the time go. Then you go with this flip kick and you can jump off pillars and shite. And I'm sorry. It's a good game. Well, it was a good game. This game holds a lot of nostalgic value for me because when I got my first PC in 2004, this was the second game I installed. It was a pretty straightforward game with a pretty straightforward story. You're a prince helping your dad Sakhraman take over a palace of a Maharaja. An evil wizard helps you in hopes of stealing the sands of time from your dad. Find the magic dagger crystal. You release the sands of time. You realize you've gone fucked up. Try to unfuck it up by killing everyone. Princess helps you because you're hard. You go from room to room because using the stairs is too mainstream. Fight some monster soldiers. Solve some puzzles. Find the sands of time. Put them back by rewinding time itself. By doing this, you put yourself in the past that is now the present. What? Fight Jafar. Tell the princess the future. The end. A game filled with memorable characters and forgettable fighting scenes is what this game is all about, and it's etched into my mind as one of the best games of all time. But all of that went straight out the window because I played the sequel. And it's truly a sequel. This is what a sequel should look like. Why can't all games do this and just... Oh yeah, my god. This game is a masterpiece in its true sense. Everything you need is here. You got your graphics, you got your story, you got your tight controls when they're not drunk and asking you to bend over. You got your protagonist, batteries of all shapes and sizes. You got the hair, and of course, boobs.
Oh, you touch my tra-la-la.
Everything I could ask for is in this sequel that is titled Prince of Persia, Warrior Within. So, we have our prince that is running from his fate, and in doing so, he lost his charm somewhere along the way.
Seems that he lost his mojo somewhere.
In order to find a way to defeat the Guardian of Time. But still, I don't care how fucked up was your day, you're going to have at least a peek at them tatas. So the story is pretty messed up at this point, but in a good way. You see, the prince lost his snarky attitude to complement the setting of the game. And that's a key word here. Complement. In most games today, or even in the before time, developers could not find a good formula for these types of games. Well, excuse me, if you're being chased by a demon devil that can control time for 7 years, you'd stop cracking jokes at some point too, I believe. And in most games today, you got these great big stories in games that nobody has ever thought of before, and your mind's all like... But the gameplay sucks. or vice versa.
So what? You can't get everything right.
Why haven't you played this fucking game already? Ubisoft has presented us with a game that is cohesive and has a contrast from its predecessor. But the issue here is, how do you design a game like that? Do you stay with the snarky funny prince with his trusty sidekick and keep it samey, yay? Or do you continue with chapter 2 of his adventure? So okay, what I'm about to say needs to be said in order to progress with the next part.
Action adventure games do not translate into a hack and slash gore fest.
It's nice that Ubisoft has graced us with a fantastic fighting mechanic, but I fail to see the adventure behind it. Just saying you're going on an island that you know where you can find to find a time queen or whatever, so you can kill her or save her or whatever, does not make that an adventure. Let's get something clear. An adventure is an exploration of the unknown, and whenever you install a new game or put the cartridge in your playbox or station or whatever, you're starting a new adventure that is just for you, that you can be a part of, and nobody can take that feeling away from you, except for the fucking game itself. No, just fuck. Okay, let me level for you a bit. If I personally start reading a book that does not grab my attention within the first 5 pages, I just don't finish the book. This type of immersion I've gained through the help of games. When I was a little dude and started up my NES and plopped the cartridge on top, I immediately started playing a game that was gripping, whether it was the action or the story behind it. So the point I'm trying to make is, if a game is not fun from the start, it will continue to be boring and dumb. But don't get the wrong idea, that's not a bad thing. There are games that reward you the more you play them, and what that means is that you know what you like and dislike, and hooray on you for that one. Some games like Majora's Mask take time and devotion before you start feeling the game's effect, though I believe that this part of the game could have been handled better and explained a bit more. Telling me that my character knows where an island of time is just adds more questions. Why is there an island of time? How the fuck does the prince know this? How does the blind dude know this? So anyway, if you look at the game from a storytelling point, it sounds awesome, but not so awesome when you start to actually think about it. And when you put time traveling into the mix, you're just basically setting yourself up for more shit in the future that will not make sense and confuse the player even more. How the fuck doesn't he not know who the Empress of Time is? It's not like there were island time people there walking around. And why is the Haka so stupid? Where the fuck did he get that medallion on his chest? I need to know this!
But no, who cares about backstory when you can do this cool kickflip thingy and walk on planks of wood like a shitty acrobat that comes to work drunk because he's in a deep mental depression?
Listen, the combat in Prince of Persia is amazing. Thanks to the dual wield mechanic, you have multiple ways of dispatching enemies, and with the help of your
superpowers of time,
it's really super fun to fight enemies, and every time you finish a fight, you look forward to the next one. You can go all Bruce Springsteen on their ass and be like, so in the end, you defeat the Empress of Time by putting a pointy sword between her boobies, and then the prince goes home and the end. Or is it? I lied. You don't actually beat the Empress of Time. You have to bang the Empress of Time to get the happy ending, if you know what I mean. The third installment of the Pop trilogy starts off by telling you that there are 2 ways of finishing the last game, increasing the game's replay value with more excitement than before.
Unless you read it on the internet or had an argument with your friend that actually beat the game the right way. Fucking dick.
Making this game all the more epic. Now we have reached our final destination, and the end of the story for our prince. We have followed his adventure to time itself to get to this point, denied boobies, and fought countless enemies, and achieved the impossible. And what do we get? Chariot racing! Are you kidding me? This is what they could come up with? There was so much that they could have done, and they chose this? What were they thinking? Not only did they remove the complex fighting system, but they made the game so you don't have to fight anyone thanks to the stealth mechanic. I felt more like an assassin than a powerful prince. Oh, but don't worry, you can turn into Ghost Rider whenever the game feels like it, and you can start whipping dudes with your chain that got stuck on your hand by fucking accident.
But you got the dagger crystal.
Who cares? I got the medallion.
But he threw that away.
Why the fuck would he do that?
But it's back the way it was before.
I don't want that! First, you give us the next part of the story and then move backwards? That's stupid! Give me the fighting system from the second game. Give me a richer world that I can frolic in. Give me characters that are more developed, physically and mentally. If I wanted to play the first game, I would have installed and played the first goddamn game. So basically, what Ubisoft did in the Two Thrones is take all of the boring stuff from the two games and place them into one game. The story is stupid, the characters are not memorable, the voice in the prince's head is more like Navi from Legend of Zelda than an actual alter ego. Fira is more boring than before as she fails to show any human emotion whatsoever with her feminist attitude, and she has a Viking outfit for some reason. What? Remember how useful she was in the first game, helping you with puzzles and fighting and whatnot? Well, she does none of that now. But the prince still has feelings for her. You! Fuck that bitch that died a couple of minutes ago that I banged. I love this thing now. There is no payoff whatsoever in this game. I mean, the assassinations are okay for the first 10 minutes, then it's back to being the boring old prince. Remember how I said that compliment is good for a game?
I know you do.
Well, you have none of that here. What you get is dull dialogue that creates no emotional connection to the characters. Just planks of wood, walking around in an environment that you have no connection to complete a task that doesn't feel good or rewarding. Thus, you have a broken, non-complete game and story. Suffice it to say, I liked how the game ended. This is mostly because of the fact that I'm a big softie for happy endings, and this created mixed emotions in the pop community. Some people hated it, some people loved it, but in the end, no matter how a story ends, not everyone is going to love it, and that is unavoidable. This is the reason why you should always make up for it in the gameplay. Make it fun to kill someone. Make me want to turn into Ghost Rider. Make me feel the anger that the prince is feeling. Because at the end of the day, that connection that you create between a player and his game is all that's going to matter. A game should be a journey that you will never forget, and designers should always try to create the greatest game they can make, and thanks to today's tools, anyone can create a great game. Doesn't matter how long the game is, designers can create a game that feels rewarding and fun. It feels as though the game designers said to themselves,
You know what? Fuck it. We'll make a new Prince of Persia game anyways in a couple of years.
and they did.